Good evening. Happy Wednesday. And I want to wish you all you got this evening. I love that. I was inspired by a video that Stephanie Perry did just a few days ago, and it was entitled Your Superpower is dot dot dot. In her video, she talks about grace and she talked about making lemonade out of lemons. She also talked about connection and soul. And she also spoke about empathy. And so tonight, I want to add three additional ones. I want to add protecting resilience, protecting intuition, and protecting empathy. And I think that if you've ever felt drained because you're doing too much, if you've doubted that quiet voice inside, and if you've ever struggled to balance your energy, then this is an episode for you. Hello, my name is Dr. Davia. Welcome to Not All the Things. This is a space for success-driven, mature women of color. This is a space where we talk about work-life balance, wellness, and wine. And tonight's conversation, I do believe, falls into wellness, but depending on how you look at it, it could be work-life balance. Before you go any further, I'm going to ask if you are new here, if you could think about subscribing to the channel. I am trying to grow my viewership and my community. And if you are coming back, welcome back. Glad to have you. Good to see you this evening. And please feel free to share this content. If after you watch this video, you go, I know somebody who could use that, send it to them. Okay? Don't just hold it for yourself. Go ahead and send it to them. So I'm not going to keep you long today, but I do want to talk about these three areas. I'm going to tell you all up front so that you can stay around. The first one is protecting our resilience. And resilience is the ability to bounce back. And if we've been pushing through, if we're tired, if we're exhausted, and if we're just not feeling well, we have this way of being able to bounce back. And we really need to learn how to protect that and slow down a little bit and just say, you know what? I can't keep pushing through. I have to learn how to put some guardrails up, and I have to learn how to say no. And that rest is productive, right? And it's not something new that we haven't heard before. We need to rest. We also need to listen to folks who we have surrounding us, who say to us, girl, slow down. You pushing too hard. You pushing too much. And again, I always feel like when I come on here, these conversations are really for me and to me. But I wanted to bring this image up because I found this online and I thought, wow, this has all of the important words that speak to resilience in it. And right down in the root of it, there's this idea of acceptance, finding the solutions, and recovering. And the way that we protect that superpower is to slow it down and to guardrail without guilt and just say, you know what? Can't do everything all the time. Yes, I do have a superpower of being resilient. As a woman of color, I can push through. As a woman, I can push through. Maybe not all women, so let me back that up. But one of the things that I know we have as women of color is that superpower of resilience. And what I am asking us to do is to protect that. And the way that we protect that is to say no. And we can say it together. Let's just say no. One of the things I'd love for you to do is in the comments, I want you to respond to this question. What is a boundary that you need to set for yourself? What is one boundary that you need to set for yourself that can help you to protect this superpower of resilience? Take a moment, drop it in the comments. I'd love to see what you put in there. So, the second superpower that I want you to guardrail for is protecting intuition. And I know that that might seem like, what is Davia talking about? But we all have those quiet thoughts. Sometimes they're not even quiet, sometimes they're very loud, and we don't listen to them. Partly because we're really busy, we stay busy, and so we're not in tuned to that voice. Sometimes that voice we want to put to the side, but there's something in our gut where I would say is where at least for me, my intuition speaks to me in my belly before it speaks to me in my head. And that might just be me, but there's inside of you, there's a moment that you are dealing with your intuition. Sometimes you're not, because you're not willing to listen. And in an episode that I just did with Dr. Kamani, and she talked about, well, we were talking about being in a toxic work environment and me not even realizing that it was toxic until we started to unpack it and talk about it. But the more I talked about it, the more I realized that, you know what, I knew it was in my gut, but I didn't listen to it. And so what I am asking you all to do is to protect your intuition and know that it comes to you in a quiet moment. You have to be able to sit with yourself. I'm sorry, I have my little notes. I don't want to forget. And when you are still and when you are journaling, sometimes you're walking, sometimes you're shopping, whatever it is where you're just in a quiet space, that intuition comes to you and you have an opportunity to clear your mind and to be present with your thoughts. I find that if I'm really busy, I can't hear myself. I can't hear my gut, right? And so you have to cut the distractions out. Again, I don't know how it is for you, but what I have noticed for myself, one way to protect my superpower of my intuition, and I have a good intuition. I tend to read situations well. I tend to read people well. And I would say many women of color have this, but we don't connect to it because we are busy. And we have to just trust our gut. Sometimes just go with it. If we feel it and we know it to be true, it's probably true. So, for the comment that I want you to make now, and the question that I want you to think about is, when was there a time you trusted your intuition and it paid off? Because that's the time that you go back to. That's the moment where you go, oh yeah, when I thought about this and I followed my gut and this was the outcome, it worked out for me. So what I'm feeling in my belly is probably true. It's probably similar to that last time. So use that past experience to give you some present insight. Okay? Please drop that response in the comments. I would love to see it, would love to be able to respond. So this third superpower that I want you to protect is empathy. And I grabbed this image again off the web. It has some statements there. And I feel like these are expressions that show empathy. And that we all say to ourselves, oh my God, girl, I know how you feel. Oh my goodness, I can imagine how you feel. Oh yes, I see where you're coming from. And you start to not only hear what they're saying, but take what they're saying and put them on yourself, right? And so by doing that, you start to put their weight on your weight. And what you need to do is to protect your superpower of empathy. And it is important to have that gift. Not everyone has that gift, right? Not everyone can be empathetic. We can see that in how things are going down in this world today, right? We can see that with some of the folks who are in office, right? Where is their empathy for those who are different and those who don't have? But when you have empathy, sometimes it weighs on you and it can be exhausting. And so you have to protect that. And so one of the ways that I've tried to do that is to set some emotional boundaries, right? Is to be able to hear what's going on for someone, but not take on what's going on. Again, not easy, takes time. And when you're younger, you really struggle with this. If you are an empath, you feel deeply for what's happening to people. You feel deeply, even just in conversation, you feel burdened. Your whole body does a thing, right? Also, practicing self-compassion is a way to help you protect that, right? We want to treat each other the way we want to be treated, right? So we want to care for ourselves. And a lot of times we don't do that, right? We don't do that enough. And then there are times where you have to take breaks from the emotional weight that you carry. If you have friends who weigh on you, you may have to take a break. I can't connect with this person right now because they drowned me. And unfortunately, or fortunately, there have been friends that I've had to release those friendships because they were too emotionally taxing for me. I could not offer them what they needed. But to protect my own superpower of empathy, and I promise you, it is a superpower, you must figure out how to put up some boundaries. So this final question I'm going to ask you to respond to is, if you struggle with setting emotional boundaries, what helps you to reset? What are the things that you do that help you to reset? And if you put that in the comments, that would be helpful for everyone in the community. Okay? And I just want to restate, because I'm, again, not going to keep you long today. When you set boundaries, when you trust your intuition, and when you take care of yourself, simple, not only do you survive this weight that's on you, but you begin to thrive. And what we want for each other is for us to be thriving. Even in all of this, we have to protect, especially because of what we're dealing with right now, especially for what's out in the news cycle, especially for how we're feeling every time we turn on the news or we see something, right? There is a way in which we have to just be like, you know what? I have to protect myself. I have to really think about what's good for me and what's good for us as a collective, right? Because this is community at this point. I would love for you, and this is my last question, to respond to this question. Which superpower do you need to protect the most? Which one do you need to protect the most? If this resonates with you in any way, please, again, hit the subscribe and the like button and share. And make sure that you not do all the things. Okay? So I'm gonna cheers you all. I'm having a Cab Sav Cab Franc this week. It's delicious red. And I'm gonna ask you all to please take it easy and protect your superpowers, or you are gonna burn out. You are gonna be tired and you're not gonna be fit for nobody. If you have not had an opportunity to watch my video, Aging with Excellence, with Sister Linda Husser, I'm going to ask you to go and watch it. It was fire. We had a fantastic conversation. Thank you all so much. And I appreciate you coming, showing up, and being here. And I do hope you are encouraged. Encouraged as we continue to do what we have to do, but know that we have to protect our superpowers. Bye. Till next week.